Greetings. Guten Tag. Talafalava. Bonjour, bonjour. Right. This is Dr. Snow Brown speaking to you all. Connecting with especially my Snow Gang Club flock. Snow sheep, snow shepherds. My congregation. Well, what have I got to preach about today? Well, do you know that generally I don't preach unless there's something important that the guardian angels Archangel Warren, especially guardian angels want me to preach about. And it definitely is something that I want to preach to you all about today. Take it as you would take it. This might be another therapy session. In fact, it might just be just that for a lot of you. But for me, it's more an illustration and also teaching and ministry on my level as a meek natural pastor. Anyway, so what have I got to talk about? What the subject matter today, or the topic that I need to preach about today? Well, again, the Police Intelligence Unit, that's great. And the recent preaching when I was preaching about the remote. Today I found the remote, that's correct. Or was it last night? This morning, I found my second remote that I've always been using. That's correct. Now, ironically, of course, I found it up on top near the my fridge, on top of my fridge. And yet, I've been going up there. That's correct. And I even looked at it, searched it. That's correct. And I thought, this is weird. Because I searched everywhere, and even that area, because I thought, I'm pretty sure it's bound to be here somewhere. And there was nothing. That remote wasn't there. That's correct. Suddenly it turned up, it just showed up. That's correct. And I thought, isn't that strange? So what did I do with the remote? The second key too. I destroyed it. Because it was already cancelled by ADD security. That's correct. Anyway, besides that point, the issue again today was the 19th. I had my ADD security relocation installation booked for this day. 3 weeks ago, that's great. I couldn't even get booking, say in a couple of days, let alone on that day. And let alone in the next 2 weeks. It had to be until the 19th today. Now, I had sent a text to one of the staff of Housing New Zealand who was dealing with the renovations regarding the flat that's inside this building that I'm supposed to move to on the ground level that you all know about. That's correct. Anyway, he had told me, that's great, 3 weeks ago, to book the ATD security installation. And the Housing New Zealand would pay for it because, after all, it was their idea for me to move out of this address because it has been declared, uninhabitable. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. That's correct. So this wasn't my idea to move out of this address. That's correct. So I chose to move to the one that was being renovated downstairs. That's correct. So I pre-booked and I said, you know what? I did my damnedest, my very best, because ADD security, that's great. The last time I remember, when I initially booked for an alarm system, for this alarm system to be installed and the camera, I don't know what happened, but it was like 4 times. It took 4 attempts for a technician to finally install it. Every time I booked for the job, the technician even didn't show up, or he got sick, or some excuse, that's correct. Now, this time, I made sure, that's correct, this wasn't going to happen, or was hoping that something like that was not going to happen. Well, Lord and behold, I did inform Housing New Zealand my tenancy manager, and also the other staff that was dealing with the renovations and the move, and let them know that, hey, you asked me to book for an installation, AD security, right? That's the date that was given to me by ADD Security, and that is the only date, which is the 19th. So, and I remember 3 weeks ago, I entered that property downstairs when there were cleaners and the door was wide open. That's great. I couldn't resist the temptation anyway. I went inside to have a look. They were cleaning it, and it looks like the only renovation work that was going on that needed it was the carpeting. That's the finish, complete the carpeting. But as for the painting and everything else, it looked like it was already ready for me. It would have been ready for a week for me to move into. But of course, according to their assessment, was 3 weeks. Now it's 3 weeks. This is the 3rd week. That's correct. And so when today, this morning, the two lovely two men from ADD Security turned up, as booked, that they would show up. They came in, knocked on the door, said, "We're here to relocate your camera and alarm system to the new property." I said, "Okay, I'm going to have to, just let me call Housing New Zealand and whatnot, because that's correct." So the tenancy manager never turned up for this booking. That's correct. And there was no communication either from the tenancy manager or the other staff that, hey, there's going to be a slight delay. If you could book that, for another date. The problem with Housing New Zealand is, instead of, they ignored. That's correct. So somebody is actually dictating to Jason Van Gent. That's correct. Jason Van Gent has been poisoned somehow. And I actually think more so he is an associate of the Police Intelligence Unit. He is actually here for the interest of these criminals inside this building, for the government of New Zealand's interest, for that Police Intelligence Unit, and even for that son of a bitch lawyer in Oriental Bay's benefit. He is not here for my interest. That's correct. Now, of course, if he's want to take advantage of this, if this ain't happening. I thought, this cannot be happening now. Housing New Zealand completely ignored. That's correct. So I was running around chasing after Jason Van Gent and the other staff, but the other staff was, keeping in communication. And then what I discovered about Jason Van Gent, that's correct, was that I actually think he was being dictated to by either the Minister of Housing or the Police Intelligence Unit, or even the lawyer in Oriental Bay. That's correct. Now, what I don't understand is why did they ignore? That's correct. Why did they not turn up to allow the so-called security person from ADD Security to allow access to the property? I don't know what's going on at Housing New Zealand, but I do not like these ugly kind of nonsense. That's correct bullshit. What I'm saying is that I took the time out. You asked me. Remember, this wasn't my decision to move out of this flat. That's correct. I went out of my way, money, time, and even the booking. That's great. And then you decided to drop the sinker. Then you decided to be the so-called, the joy killer. That's correct. No communication, ignorance, total ignorance. Now, I don't know, why would you take my preachings out of my church TV out of context? That's correct. What's going on, New Zealand? No, I'm talking about Jason Van Gent, because he didn't have the guts to call me today, and he couldn't be bothered anyway. I had to communicate to another staff in order to send a message to him. That's correct. Suddenly he had done something on my cell phone to block, to make it harder for me to send anything to his phone. So I had to try and communicate to another staff to get the message to him. Sadly. But there was no communication. I really didn't need any communication, because it looks like this matter, that's correct, the move and the installation of who's going to pay for this installation, that's great, is going to be delayed. It's going to be delayed. And it was 3 weeks ago. This is not on Jason Van Gent. No, it's not on. Because, hey, you're supposed to communicate. Don't give me this low class, standard if you're qualified. I don't know why they employed somebody like you. That's great. Why? I don't understand why Kangaroa, New Zealand employs people that have got a bad connection. A criminal connection. That's great. And I don't know why these criminals are taking advantage of my tendency inside this building. So what happened? So I had to, do the runaround. Remember, it costs money. It costs money to install a ADD security and a video camera. That's great. It cost me $400 initially when I got this alarm system that I own. I paid for it. And the video camera. That's great. Now, I don't install these things so that I can stalk and harass people that are here coming inside this address. No, I don't do that. And I am certainly not sick with erythromelia. The only mental illness that I've ever suffered was depression. That's great. Right. But what that lawyer did, and this criminal organization via my rallies did, was use the excuse, convert me to a erythromelia with that kind of mental disorder so that I could be used to cover up their serious mental disorder of erythromelia, incest, and pedophilia. And I'm serious, and I'm sorry that the majority of Pākehās in this country, they are so sick with erythromelia, and so are the elites. Now, of course, they won't admit to it. That's great. The moment you have sex outside the marriage arrangement, where you're having sex with other married couples and other couples that are already attached, right, that is when you're going to start being sick with erythromelia. That's great. I don't need any sex from nobody. That's great. Now, if I'm going to leave your country, and I've got all this nonsense going on, and you're still creating, obstacles and issues and problems. That's great, New Zealand. I'm afraid this is not going to go too well. That's great. Now, do I have a right to scream at Jason Van Gent for what he did? Yes, I do, because, hey, hello, you can't just let me hang there like that. That's great. You can't just decide one day, I can't be bothered. I'm not going to contact. I'm not going to tell her that we're not going to be able to allow access to the property today. That's great. Or that she needs to rebook the so-called, installation. And that what Jason Van Gent doesn't realize is it's important. It is important. I am important. I'm above you. That's correct. I'm also qualified. But I don't need to be a loser like you, Jason Van Gent. What you did today is unacceptable, unprofessional, and unethical. That's correct. And it's also a loser. You are a loser. I'm sorry, but you owe me more than an apology today. That's great. I can just imagine if it was one of the Maoris. You would be so apologetic. That's correct. But you would go out beyond that. You probably pay compensation, that's great, and give them a written apology. No, Jason Van Gent, I've never seen this side of you. I didn't think you would do this. But this really shows your racist attitude. And your arrogance as well. That's great. You are rude. No, I'm sorry, buddy. If this is the way you communicate to your partner, that's correct. Then I'm afraid you're doing the wrong job. That's great. This ain't right at all. Especially if you got to pay $160. That's great. For an installation. So what did I have to do? I suddenly realized I couldn't go outside tomorrow. Leaving all my property here, packed. But it could easily be fleeced. Knowing that there's been unlawful entries and home invasion in this address. I said, you know what? It is not safe to not have the alarm system on and some sort of security that's great to prevent the uninvited guests and the pests and the ratbags from coming inside. That's great. But then to have all this gear that's all packed, that's ready to be moved, to be stolen, to come back to a property where it's completely clean now. I'm sorry, Jason, but you are so stupid. That's great. But also very, very harmful. That's great. I don't know who's dictating to you, but I do not like this attitude of yours. That's great. And especially if you're an associate of this criminal organization. And of course, you side with yourself. Don't say that your partner told you to teach me a lesson today. Oh, hell no. I'd hate to think that she might have an input. That's correct. Now, those kind of unprofessional, she got nothing to do with your job. That's correct. I'm one of your clients. But if you're going to let me hang like that, that's correct. Oh, I probably would have screamed and yelled at you today. And I probably would have sworn at you as well. Why? Because it is serious. Very serious. And that's why I called you a loser. Yes, you probably heard the full colourful preaching that I had inside this building. I've got every right to scream and yell because I'm a noble. That's correct. You loser. You scumbag. You arrogant son of a bitch. That's correct. Fucking attitude like that, Jason Van Gent. Don't fucking say that what? Oh, I know you're violent. That's correct. And I know when you want to fucking teach somebody, this is exactly the kind of line that you want to, the kind of sinker that you want to drop. Buddy, this is not going to, yeah. Don't think you're going to arrest me for what? Intimidations? Say that again? I beg your pardon? No. You're the one who was negligent deliberately. You're the fool and the idiot who is actually applying some sort of criminal protocols. That's correct. Right? You're the one that is the loser. The fucking loser now. You better get your head screwed, buddy. That's correct. You're lucky that you didn't come today. That's correct. Don't call me. You got the fucking nerve. You think I'm sick? No, you're the one who's sick. I remember the very first phone call when you became my tenancy manager. That's correct. I don't know what the fuck you were talking about. A relationship? You're going to have a relationship with me? I thought, I don't know. What is he talking about? That's correct. Who the hell is this tenancy manager? Luckily, I wasn't that rude. That's correct. I respect every tenancy manager, but if they ever apply any, and I told you the last couple of days, via texting, that's right, don't fucking apply any arbitrary dictatorships or criminal protocols on behalf of these criminals inside this building. And not even that police intelligence unit. What did you do? You did! You coward! You loser! You fucking loser! That's correct! You haven't got the guts to tell them to fuck off and to tell them to what? Don't tell you how to do your job. That's correct. And this is the problem. This is the problem. When we've got unqualified people being dictated to by a bunch of bullies and criminals. Please what? Raise your standards. Have some ethics. That's correct. Don't say that you sign up to this job so you can be just like these criminals inside this building. Have sex galore. Whatever you want, on the go, on the run, that's correct. Oh my God. This police intelligence unit is the most disgusting unit I've ever come across, that's correct. But this one takes the cake. I don't know who the fuck is dictating to you, Jason Van Gent. But you better tell them that's correct. The fuck off. Get the fuck out of my life. Get the fuck out of my tenancy. That's correct. You better do things the right way. I got every right to be pissed off. That's correct. Now, as for the rest of New Zealanders, you all know that I'm planning to leave your country. So why do you have to apply these sort of stupid criminal protocols and arbitrary dictatorship still? That's correct. So what did I do to compromise? I thought, hey, I can't go out tomorrow where there's no alarm system here and leaving all that stuff here. That's correct. So I had to call back ADD security and arrange the police, ask kindly, nicely, the technicians to please come back and reinstall my alarm system. Can you get it? Reinstall my alarm system here at this address? And of course, the video camera couldn't be installed because there's no Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is now active in the new address. That's great. Get it? You fucked up everything, Jason Van Jet. I don't know what the fuck you're trying to do. That's correct. I don't know what Housing New Zealand is trying to do. I have had to, extend my power bill. That's correct. 2 or 3 times now. That's correct. And I shouldn't have to do that. And I've had to disconnect my so-called Wi-Fi here and move the Wi-Fi to the other address. You people, you think, so I don't know whether, I actually think that Jason Van Jet, that you've been paid by Housing New Zealand to be a time waster. To waste my money, waste my time. This is what these criminals do very well. That's correct. And of course, if they have one of their associates, they're going to teach you their protocols and their so-called stupid dictatorships, where they are money wasters. They like to waste other people's money, time, and energy. That's correct. You have no idea. That's correct. I spent all night packing and stuff like that. That's correct. Now, I was ready to move today. But of course, you had other ideas. That's great. A typical joy killer. You're just like the English. That's correct. The rest of the so-called dumb New Zealand Kiwis in this country. You like to teach people a lesson. Oh my God, I know, don't tell me. And then, of course, one of the staff had to come back and reinstall my alarm system. The alarm system is working just fine. That's correct. Until what? Until something played up. I said, I don't know why the alarm system is disarming. It's disarming itself. That's correct. Actually setting it up. So what happened is the sensor in my bedroom is being activated all the time. That's correct. This has never happened before. So I could be sitting there in the room and all of a sudden I hear the sound on my panel. The alarm system asking me it is going to disarm the alarm before it sets off. Before it sets off. That's correct. And that's because the sensor in the room has been activated. This has never happened before. So either somebody is actually going into my so-called alarm system and activating the sensor in the bedroom, or I'm what? Am I making things up this time? No, it's not, because I record the times. 4 times at 7:17 this evening, I've had to disarm and arm stay 4 times this alarm, because that voice, the sensor kept activating, and it's been doing that, and it's never done that before. Not in the first installation, and not ever. That's correct. So I actually think that maybe the police intelligence unit is now dictating to my alarm system panel. When is this arbitrary dictatorship going to stop? That's correct. Oh, it's never going to stop, is it? As long as these so-called assholes are living inside this address, isn't it? And as long as you come into my kingdom and take advantage, eh? Well, I tell you right now, New Zealand, get out of my kingdom. Please leave my kingdom alone. And I'm talking about the KKK, that's great. Please get out. Don't stop taking advantage. Stop taking advantage of my tenancy here. Stop taking advantage of me inside my kingdom, where you're going to take the comments out of context only because of your connection to these losers inside this building. That's great. Can you get out of my kingdom? Get out of my digital devices? Get out of my life? And go and deal to your own people, or go and deal to your own kind or sort? That's great. Can you fuck off? That's great. That kingdom is my kingdom. That is my church. That is where I go to worship to my God. But my God, it has been painful. Do you know there are people, they have no idea what it's like for a Christian to want to worship their God. That's correct. And I am grieving. I am in grievance. I'm in grief at the moment. That's great. Because I can't go and be with my God all the time and worship my God in that form. That's correct. Because some losers inside this fucking building with the police intelligence units and the rest of you dumb people in this country decide to grieve. That's correct. But you don't need to do that. You do that really well with all the so-called nonsense, chaos that you create. But when you try and get in the way of myself and my God, that's where you're all going to get it. So I, Dr. Snow Brown, declare on this day again. And I've been doing a lot of declarations, haven't I? This time I'm really dead serious about it. I hereby declare that from this day forward, until I leave this earth, or until the second coming of our Lord, every KKK member will be annihilated and eradicated. Every one of you. And that includes the MMB, and that includes also the MMB. So the red bull, white bull, you're going to be eradicated and annihilated from here on in. From this day forward, I declare you all, not only you already insane, but off the planet, you've been eradicated, annihilated, and removed off this planet. For good, for the end. Finish. Dust to dust, to dust to dust. And smoke. That's great. Now, of course, if this little thing that happened today was part of your so-called, war with me, in terms of the police intelligence unit is sort of retaliating on behalf of my rallies, that's great. For what? For some silly comments I said inside my kingdom. And that's my kingdom. That's how the gods, that's how I worship my God. That's great. But of course, you people are so dumb and stupid. You don't have a God to worship. You wouldn't know what it means to worship a God. That's great. That is my church. My very own church. That's great. In my very own kingdom. But how dare you come in and try and desecrate, that's great, my God. And desecrate my kingdom. Now, I've just announced it. I hereby command all the Knights Templars and all the special forces on this planet to eradicate, starting from this day forward, eradicate and annihilate. Take out all the MmbsKkks and take out the fucking KKKs, will you? Take them off the fucking planet! And I mean all of them! Like World War II. When the Germans eradicated and annihilated 6 million Jews, that's great. I want you to go beyond that number. Take out the whole lot, that's great. Uproot! And put to death the KKKs and MmbsKkks out of my kingdom. Get out! Shoo, shoo, shoo! Shut it! Get out! Get out! And don't ever go near any of my family members. And stop your fucking dictating. Or you're all going to be taken out with your whole country and your government. You stupid mother shits, that's correct. Typical scumbags. Fafo man mafala. I guy fafo. Down if I go kingdom. I was out kong ko aku kong. Fafo. Do I guy. Bonga ua. Society, I'm your lenger. Fafo, la busy, down like Fafo. You dare teach me a lesson? Well, that is the type of teaching a lesson that's coming your way. Full annihilation and full eradication. The fear bullet, my fear buckle, get out! Take your rubbish with you! Arbitrary dictatorships, get out! And your fucking criminal protocols and your stupid rubbish out! You don't know how to worship my God! You don't have a God. The only God you got is the police intelligence unit. Or these fucking stupid loser criminal organizations. That's your only God that you worship. That's the only God you fucking know, New Zealand. Now you don't need to fuck with my God and wreck my God. That's great. But I've had a guts full of you. I don't give a fuck about the Minister of Police. Get the fuck out. I don't give a fuck about every minister of your government. Get the fuck out. I don't give a fuck about your police commissioner. Because it was that fucking unit that put a lot of our Christians and our people to death. That is a fact. I don't give a fuck about you, English. Get out. Take your rubbish with you. Especially your fucking prostitution. Take your prostitution with you out. Take your slavery out with you. Take your bullshit protocols out. Too much, Oko. That's correct. Maka kia. Fula ola le au son of a bitches. The kia koe saula leali. Saula leali koe. Fa singo kia ko fa mga kuya Oko. Why pule ya Oko? Why sini aku? It's no wonder 83 celebrities died in the last 13 months or in the last 2 years. 83 celebrities. These are people that are wealthy and have got more money than any of us. That's great. And have got more connections. And have got more, and are blessed so many ways. And what happened? They didn't live very long. They ended up 6 feet under. That's correct. And the question I've got to ask is, why the fuck that happened? Was it because you weren't so smart? Or was it because you took for granted? That's correct. The breath of life that was given to you. And the only explanation that could hit my brain, that's correct, was the police intelligence unit, that terrorist extremist unit, that's correct. With that unit, that is a weapon. And when the government of New Zealand knows how to exercise and even abuse that weapon, they can take out any celebrity around the globe. That's correct. They can take out anybody around the globe, and even the most powerful world leaders. If they wanted to take out so-called, President Putin, Vladimir Putin, yes, they could. If they wanted to take out, say, another king, or another royal in the Middle East or another country, yes, they could do it via the police intelligence unit. This is why when families like your cousin's family, the Baker family, when the celebrities, and this was one of the biggest mistakes that the celebrities made, that's correct, in Hollywood, and I hope that you'll listen in to this preaching this evening and really learn the hard lesson. You chose, you thought you knew better. And you really thought you had it made, didn't you? Power and money and prestige, and being at the very top and your very best, isn't it? Isn't it wonderful? But when you play your cards the wrong way, and when you ignore all the signs that come from above, that's correct, where you think your money and your power and the knowledge that you know is above God's knowledge, you end up 6 feet under? Gosh, you ain't so smart at all as I thought you were. You're not the smartest, let alone the wisest person that we had assumed, because you're a celebrity. And it was because you made the wrong decision to accept people that are from criminal organizations like Mafia, the Mongol Mob, that's correct, the KKK, or House Angel. You what? You didn't have a problem accepting people from any criminal organizations to be part of the celebrities. That's correct. Now, that was your mistake. That's where you went wrong. Because you shouldn't have. Now, you see why my conditions are important in my kingdom? Is because I know what I'm aiming for and I know what I'm doing. Right? And when I have a flock, I want my snow shepherds to be protected. Now, I'm not going to be able to do that if I invite wolves to come inside the flock. That's correct. And come inside my kingdom and then start to steal them or take them or poison them, contaminate, and then they don't listen to the voice that they're supposed to listen to. That's correct. Now, it's the same lesson for the celebrities. How that's right, you open your arms out and you welcome the so-called people from criminal organizations to be part of the celebrities. And there is nothing wrong with it, but the problem is when they take out, when the police intelligence unit take out, that's great, 83 celebrities, the most powerful celebrities in your country, you are not that immune at all from the wolves, from the minotaurs, from the underbelly world. You are not that smart at all, is what I'm saying. The smartest people on this planet live longer. And the smartest people in this planet, they listen to the gods. That's correct. And they respect the gods, and they respect nobles like myself, because I know better. So if you ever accept any celebrities, people from New Zealand, to be part of the celebrities in America, I'm afraid that was another mistake that you made, because a lot of celebrities, people, and especially people that are part of the people in New Zealand, are connected to that police intelligence unit. They are connected to some criminal organization. There's over 70 criminal organizations in this country. So they are very highly likely to be connected to that unit. And what that means is that people were born in New Zealand and were part of this country. When they come to your country, whether it be America, Australia, or any other country, to be part of the celebrities, they will always be loyal back home, back to that unit. That's great. And especially if they were taught by them via their so-called bullshit protocols and teachings, because they're going to apply those teachings and protocols overseas in your country. You won't know that, because what they've been doing here, listening into my private conversations, that is exactly what the unit and the rest of the so-called kingdom come that want to study you and hear what you're saying in your country. They're going to be listening in, and if they don't like what you're saying, then they're going to kill you, then they're going to take you out via another rat bag in your country. So that's why, that's right. So that's how the celebrities from New Zealand, especially the Baker side of the family, were able to take out some of your celebrities in your country. It was because of the police intelligence unit. Because of this evil apartheid partnership we've got going here in New Zealand. If you're part of that apartheid, then you're always going to be loyal to that unit. And that unit is part of the government. That's correct. Okay, I hope you're listening. That's correct. That why I had to make this declaration to annihilate and eradicate these two most notorious criminal organizations on this planet. If I don't do that, then I'm not doing my job as a natural pastor. And if I don't preach about the issues that I've been preaching, and if I don't preach the way that I preach, then I am not doing my job. And I'm not pleasing and doing the will of my gods. That's correct. That's what I do best. So if you take offense and you don't like me chasing you out, it's because you need to get out. Otherwise, you will be eradicated and annihilated. Because I'm a Knights Templar. That's correct. That's what we do, and that's our right from the gods. And when we make a declaration, we mean it, we mean it. So, but all I've been doing, I've been giving you a lot of warnings. But the warnings have finished now. And the end is coming. And what I'm saying about the fact that this declaration to eradicate and annihilate all the MMB, especially the KKKs on this planet, that's exactly what my Lord is going to do when he comes, when he arrives on his so-called wonderful white horse. with his, full royal authority. That's great. That's exactly what he's going to do with the sword that he's bringing. So if you think that what I'm talking about is madness, no. The police intelligence unit and what you people do in this country, now that's what I call really craziness. That's great. That's really crazy. Because normal people just don't behave that way, and they do not do all this nonsense. That's great. In other countries. So can you imagine now why they made the mistake in accepting the Baker family into the celebrities in America? Because they got it back. That's great. They like to dominate those celebrities. They are actually jealous of them. They don't like them. They just pretend to get in. Hey, just let me, I just got to find the door to get my foot in. And don't worry, we're going to take out a few of their so-called powerful celebrities. Isn't it wonderful? Gotcha. That's correct. That's what you deserve. That's correct. That's what people get. So if you think I'm stupid in what I'm preaching about, no. I know what I'm talking about because I know what it means to be a natural pastor. For a lot of you out there who is not a natural pastor, who doesn't understand my terms and who's trying to study me and get to know what I'm preaching about, you still will never know completely what it means to be a natural pastor. Only I know. That's correct. I hope that this move is going to eventuate, but at the rate it's going, I might end up going to Deutschland instead of going to America. But ideally, if we didn't come to New Zealand, this is how it is. If we were still living in Samoa, I would have immigrated to American Samoa, and I would have been living in America anyway by now. That's correct. At this age, I probably would have been prospering as well. Except your people, the fact that this nonsense that's going on, the only thing that you guys are good at is taking advantage of me in this country. And, the irony is, if you hate me that much, and yet you do all the wrong things to try and keep me here in your country, then I don't know what you call that. You've been doing a lot of stuff to try and prevent me from leaving your country, haven't you? You have. Behind in the background, that's correct. That's why you controlled this noble all these years, was because you like, stealing and using my stuff, but you don't want to pay for it, do you? You scumbags, you evil son of a bitches, all right? Well, the time is coming. The end is coming for all of you. Yeah, keep doing what you're doing. Because at the rate you're going, I am definitely ending up, I'm going the other direction to Deutschland instead of America. And then come that way. Because I feel, if I was living in Germany, I would have been Dr. Snow Brown. I would have come out and I would have been accepted. That's great. And I would have traveled the world. That's great. And I would have been very powerful and very wealthy. Yeah, so we came to the wrong country, didn't we? Or I made the wrong decision in coming back to New Zealand when I should have just stayed there in Deutschland. Get it? Well, at least no police, at least they wouldn't have a unit like that, sort of stalk me and harass me, let alone dictate to me on my digital devices and on the social media platform. Hey, nothing like that would happen. To a lot of Germans who are foreigners in Germany, I don't think so. But New Zealand, there is something wrong, seriously wrong, about that unit. That's correct. And these criminal organizations, especially these people inside this address, there is something terribly not all right about the government of New Zealand. Their prejudice, their apartheid. That's correct. Right, you all take care now. And pray for me, please. Thank you very much for your time in tuning in and hooking up and connecting with me as well. Now, as for the rest of everybody that I've been preaching about, whether it be Jeffrey Baby, I hope all is okay with you. But of course, if you know Jason Van Gent, then I would understand why you would want to retaliate and pay back, wouldn't you? Of course you would, Jeffrey baby. Don't lie now. Don't be a liar. You obviously, if you're an associate of this criminal organization or these criminals inside this building, you probably would have been listening to my private preachings, haven't you, Jeffrey baby? Oh, I wouldn't be surprised now. That's correct. After all, you're more prejudiced. You would be more prejudiced towards these criminals inside this building and that unit than you would, in regards to my interest now, Jeffrey baby, would you? Oh, yes, you would. Now, what's the other one? What's the other guy? Oh, yes, Mr. Shadow, Mr. Dracula. Yeah, you have been given new title, Mr. Sylvester and Mr. Putty Tat. Putty Cat. Or was it Putty Tat? That's correct. Oh, you are an evil son of a bitch indeed. Right, you're going to be annihilated if you're a KKK associate. Or if you have that connection, you're going to be eradicated. That's correct. So the end is coming for you anyway. But of course, if you know Jason Van Gent, I mean, isn't it terrible how New Zealand like to control women in this country? But they do it through the losers, other losers and cowards. Like Jason Van Gent, that's correct. Or Jeffrey Baby. Or Mr. Sylvester, Mr. Shadow, Mr. Dracula, Mr. Prick. That's correct. Or Mr. PK Farts there. Now, that son of a bitch is going to get it, all right? Mr. PK Farts over in Oriental Bay. And also, the other son of a bitch is Mr. Yoke. He's going to get it. And especially Mrs. Happy Hooker, that's correct, is going to get it. You're all going to be eradicated and annihilated. Because if I go to Deutschland, you will see me like Mad Max. You want to see that? Right. So I would go to Deutschland and it would come like that. Except I will be coming for all of you. So don't make your wish, because at the rate you're going, it looks like I will be going that way, and then I'll be coming that way like that, in that form. Or take out all of you here in this country. And I will be so powerful that you would not want to, that's great, but if I go to America, it will be in another form, but a Knights Templar form. Right? So you decide now. You decide what you want. Because I've just declared verbally. So when I got a guardian angel, because you're still learning, but I'm already, I'm an advanced student. I'm not a student. I'm an advanced grandmaster. That's correct. So I know what I'm talking about. Right. So when I declare, when the guardian angel declares something publicly, verbally, out there, it means it's going to happen. That's correct. You'll sleep well now. Take care. And I don't want any son of a bitches to come inside this building, because there is the death penalty that's sealed on the door. That door will have a list of so many of you that's going to be eradicated and annihilated if you enter this flat here. Right. You take care. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.